On this day, March 23rd, in 1775, in front of the Virginia Convention, Patrick Henry stood up and delivered those immortal words, "Give me liberty or give me death." Or did he? It's important to note that this all occurred a good month before the battles of Lexington and Concord in Massachusetts. So this is before any real open hostility between Great Britain and America. The Second Virginia Convention was being held in Richmond, Virginia, and it started on March 20th. A lot of the people attending the convention considered themselves British subjects, and they were. And hostilities had not opened yet, but they saw it coming down the pike. So there was a proposal to raise the militia. But being that many people felt that they were still British subjects, it was hotly contested. Patrick Henry stood up and said, on March 23rd, defending the need to create the militia, "Almighty God, I know not what the course of others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." And then he plunged a paper knife into his chest. He was being dramatic. He was mimicking Cato the Younger. Now, Cato the Younger actually disemboweled himself with his sword. He would rather kill himself and die a free man than become a slave. With this dramatics, a hush fell over the convention. And it worked. The proposal passed. The Virginia Convention passed the proposal to raise a militia, and they put Patrick Henry in charge. And it was a good thing, too, because Governor Dunmore of Virginia had ordered the British Army to seize the ammunition supplies in Williamsburg, Virginia. Patrick Henry rushed with the Virginia militia to cut them off. He was too late. The British had gotten the ammunition supplies. However, he was able to do two very important things. One is he was able to force payment. So he was able to force payment for the ammunition that was taken without any hostilities, without any open fire. And Governor Dunmore ran off to an offshore ship, and he basically abdicated the Virginia governorship. Now, I'm not quite sure if the British soldiers ran off in the jockey shorts, but you get the idea. So Patrick Henry used the imagery of the Roman Republic in using Cato the Younger, who was one of the last defenders of the Roman Republic. And he wasn't alone, because at this time, the Republic was just starting to form. And that imagery is throughout the American Revolution. If you look at George Washington, he was known as, and is still known as, the American Cincinnatus. He was successful in conquering the British, and he was probably the most popular and most powerful man in the United States at the time, but he gave up all of his power and he went back to his private life, much like Cincinnatus did with Rome. Also, if you look at all the architecture in the buildings and the monuments in Washington, D.C., they all pay homage to the Roman Republic. It's all very Romanesque architecture. So, getting to the question, did Patrick Henry really say those words? I know I was taught that in high school, and you probably were too. So where did it come from? William Wirt documented Patrick Henry's speech 40 years after the speech was given. Now, I know if I was going to document something 40 years after something happened, I'd probably either get it wrong or, candidly, I'd probably make up a lot of stuff to make it a little bit more interesting. However, William Wirt was born in 1772, so he was 2 years old. He did this in a biography about Patrick Henry, and it was criticized pretty heavily. However, in America, when the legend becomes fact, print the legend. So did he say those words? Sure he said them. So that's what happened on this day, March 23rd in 1775. I think that history is a lot more interesting than fiction. Thanks for listening.